It's bad for your health, you know?
What is pinche?
Yeah,
Me.
Lately, a bunch of insiders have been dropping hints online, making fans think that Sylvester Stallone is gearing up for Cobra 2, a sequel to his 1980s action flick. So now the big question is, when's it happening? Cobra originally hit theaters in 1986, with Stallone in the lead, playing a no-nonsense street cop protecting a witness from a dangerous cult. While the movie didn't exactly win over critics at the time, it's since earned a cult following, with plenty of fans still hyped about it today. And the best part? Stallone himself is totally down for one more round. So let's get into everything we know so far about Cobra 2. Cobra came out in 1986, and even though critics weren't exactly fans, a sequel, Cobra Part 2, was actually in the works just a year later in 1987. But for whatever reason, the whole thing got scrapped, and after that, no other sequel ever made it past the planning stage. Fast forward to 2019. Stallone did an interview with Fandango where he was asked if there were any of his classic roles he'd want to revisit. And without hesitation, he brought up Cobra. Turns out, he had already been talking to action director Robert Rodriguez, the guy behind Machete and El Mariachi, about making a sequel, but not as a movie. Instead, they were thinking about turning it into a TV series. Stallone even said, "I'm talking with Robert Rodriguez right now about Cobra, which looks like that could happen as a series." Rodriguez wasn't involved in the first film, but Stallone made it clear that if this project moves forward, it's all in Rodriguez's hands now, calling it basically his baby now. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. Rodriguez has already revived one cult classic, From Dusk Till Dawn, as a TV show, so it wouldn't be a shock if he did the same with Cobra. Now it's just a matter of when, or if, it actually happens. If Cobra 2 really happens, the possibilities for the story are endless. The original Cobra was all about gritty, street-level crime, but this sequel could take things to a whole new level. The caption teasing high-tech thrills, intense cyber battles, and a relentless pursuit of justice definitely hints at a more modern and upgraded take on Stallone's classic action hero. Imagine this. Years have passed, and Marion Cobretti has stepped away from the force, but crime has only gotten worse. Now, instead of just dealing with dangerous cults and street gangs, he's up against a powerful underground cyber-terrorist network that's using advanced technology to control and manipulate society from the shadows. When a young hacker with key intel is targeted by these criminals, Cobra is forced back into action to protect them. But here's the twist. This isn't just about guns and car chases anymore. The enemy is smarter, more connected, and nearly impossible to track. With AI-driven assassins, digital warfare, and high-tech surveillance working against him, Cobra has to adapt. That means teaming up with a new generation of crime fighters, experts in hacking, cybersecurity, and next-level combat, while still bringing his old-school brute force and street smarts to the table. Of course, there would still be plenty of the classic Cobra style: dark, neon-lit landscapes, brutal hand-to-hand combat, and Stallone delivering hard-hitting one-liners, but adding in this tech-driven twist would make Cobra 2 feel fresh while still staying true to its roots. And let's not forget the villains. The original film had the Night Slasher and his cult, but this time, the antagonist could be a ruthless cyber-criminal mastermind, someone who sees themselves as untouchable because they control everything from behind a screen. But they clearly don't know who they're messing with, because no matter how much technology advances, some threats still need to be handled the old-fashioned way, with fists, firepower, and a cop who doesn't play by the rules. If Stallone and Rodriguez really make this happen, Cobra 2 could bring a whole new level of action while still giving fans the gritty, no-nonsense energy that made the first film a cult classic. There's also been a lot of buzz about a Cobra reboot, and apparently Jake Gyllenhaal's name has been thrown into the mix. If this happens, it could even lead to a TV spin-off. The original Cobra was basically Stallone's take on Dirty Harry, right down to casting Dirty Harry actors Andrew Robinson and Reni Santoni in supporting roles. So it makes sense that Stallone would want an actor who can bring that same kind of intensity to the role. And let's be real, Gyllenhaal would be a solid choice. Stallone himself has even suggested him, pointing out that he has a dark side as an actor. Just look at Nightcrawler. That film showed how well Gyllenhaal can play a character who's both obsessive and dangerously insane. It's easy to imagine him stepping into Cobra's shoes, rocking the shades, chewing on a matchstick, and taking down bad guys with that same unrelenting energy. If they go this route, the reboot could take the original concept and modernize it while keeping that gritty, no-nonsense tone. Maybe Gyllenhaal's version of Cobra is dealing with corruption in law enforcement or hunting down an underground crime syndicate that infiltrated the city. And if a TV spin-off happens, they could really explore the character in depth, showing his struggles with justice in a world that's more complicated than just good guys versus bad guys. Whether it's Stallone returning for Cobra 2 or Gyllenhaal leading a reboot, it's clear that Cobra still has plenty of potential. Now, it's just a matter of which version actually makes it to the screen first. There have also been rumors floating around that Ana de Armas could be in the Cobra reboot as the female lead. And honestly, that would be a killer casting choice. She's already proven she can handle action roles. In No Time to Die, The Gray Man, John Wick Chapter 4? So seeing her alongside Jake Gyllenhaal if he ends up leading the reboot would be pretty exciting. If she joins the cast, her character could be anything from a badass detective working alongside Cobra to a key witness he's sworn to protect, kind of like the original movie, but with way more depth and action. Given how Hollywood is leaning towards stronger, more capable female leads in action films, it wouldn't be surprising if she gets a role that's just as intense as Cobra himself, rather than just being a damsel in distress. A Gyllenhaal and de Armas duo would definitely bring a fresh, modern feel to Cobra while still keeping the gritty, high-stakes vibe that made the original a cult classic. Plus, their on-screen chemistry could add an extra layer of tension, whether it's in the form of a reluctant partnership, a love-hate dynamic, or just two ultimate badasses working together to take down a criminal empire. If these casting rumors turn out to be true, the Cobra reboot could end up being way bigger than anyone expected. Now, we just have to wait and see if it actually happens. Speaking of the Cobra franchise, there's also been buzz about how Cobra is the next Stallone movie that really needs a director's cut. We've already seen how Rocky IV got a fresh new take with Stallone's recut, and honestly, Cobra could benefit just as much. Back in the 80s, Stallone was riding high with Rocky IV and Rambo First Blood Part 2, both massive hits in 1985. But after that, things got a little shaky. While Cobra did well at the box office, pulling in around $160 million worldwide, it never got a sequel, even though it became a cult favorite over time. Apparently, there's an unreleased work print of Cobra's original cut still floating around among collectors. And if any Stallone movie deserves a second chance, it's this one. While director George P. Cosmatos passed away in 2005, Stallone, who also wrote the script, was heavily involved in shaping the film. If his Rocky IV remake does well, maybe Cobra will finally get the redemption it deserves. And that's everything we know about Cobra 2. Will it happen? Will we get a director's cut of the original? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. There's plenty of excitement around Stallone's cult classic. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. As always, drop your thoughts and suggestions for future videos in the comments below.